Hey guys, I'm Sheila,
And I'm Ruel.
and welcome to
The CommoNurse podcast.
Oh my gosh, different setup tonight, guys, and we have of course, always a special guest that actually delighted us with his presence. Hopefully I can give this justice and I could give honor to his credentials.
But first of all, you want to tell them where we are at the moment?
We are in, is it right? Batesman Bay? Oh,
Batemans.
Batemans.
Bay.
Oh my God, see?
Yeah, in the
That's what I asked. Batemans Bay. I always mix up those two.
Travel edition.
Yes, so we are traveling, as of course, and also we went to see our dearest friend, Father Luis Villavicente.
hi. Hello.
All right, guys, I already introduced our guest, our one and only Father Loy, but I would like to also give credit to who credit is due, of course. Okay. We always have an intermission number. So Father Loy, guys, he is our priest. When it came to Canberra, we actually met him as our priest in Kaylin Church, isn't it?
Yeah,
Father?
St. Monica's and St. Michael's,
St. Monica's
Kailin and Ebat.
Yeah, specifically St. Michael's. I think we were going that church. That
Oh, yes,
time.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, Father Loy, guys, entered the seminary in 1995, and 8 years later, he finished and got officially ordained as a priest. Clap, clap naman dyan. Grabe, Father. That was like 8 years of pure
Yeah.
journey towards your fellowship and your relationship with God, isn't it?
It
to serve
was
Him.
a journey, an intense journey of studies.
There you go.
So studies of there are four pillars in the seminary that a candidate should fulfill when he enter into the seminary and journey towards a priest. So that is the academic, the prayer life, pastoral life, and also the community life. So there are 4 aspects of those, and every year you have to be assessed if you are doing it well or not. And every year you have to reapply.
Oh, really?
And
Yearly?
Yes, yearly. And the question is why do you think that we have to accept you? Wow. So you have to reapply. But apart from that question, you have to fulfill these 4 pillars. And if you are missing 1 or 2, then that would be bye, ciao.
Wow.
I send you home.
Oh my gosh. That's an intense training, nako.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very
I was going to say more intense than uni, actually.
Exactly. 8
Oh, yeah.
years. But
So-
sorry to cut you off, Father. But can you give us an example on how you answered that question? Like, why would we accept you?
Oh, yeah, certainly. So every year, as I've mentioned, you have to sell yourself by applying and saying that I am
Best in
capable.
marketing.
Yes,
Best in marketing pa si Father.
you're capable and capable of the next year because you have to
Yep.
apply every year. And you just have to be very honest and assess yourself. And that for the last year, I'm doing this and I was very good on that. And academic-wise, I improve. Religious life in terms of cohabitant or co-living with my superiors and my co-seminarians, and how's religious life in terms of dealing with each other. Then pastoral, am I doing well in the parish where I am going and or where I was sent, and then at the same time also the spiritual, the prayer life and all these things. So. And if the superior said that, I think you're doing well, and they will accept you. Otherwise, you'll be under provision. So if you, for example, if you miss or you fail one subject in one semester, so the following semester you are in provision.
Yeah.
And if you don't make it, they send you home.
So can they at any point during the semester, can they tell you like, oh, you're not performing well, you're out? Bye.
Well, they give you
a
due
notice?
process.
Oh,
And
okay.
so you try to
I
work.
That's a
thought
bit
that was it.
harsh,
I was
isn't
like,
it?
once you've been deemed unworthy, I was like, there you go. You can
No,
go.
no, you-
Pack your bags and go.
Yes, you try your best, and let's see how it goes for the next semester.
Yeah.
And if things doesn't work, then
Oh,
leaving on a jet plane.
that's true.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
No, it's not
Bye.
easy. It's a long journey and tedious studies, and you have to maintain a certain average. Yep.
In here, I was complaining of doing nursing again for 1 year.
That's true. Anyway, guys, I haven't done introducing Father Loy. Also, he has been into a lot of countries throughout his career. He's been to Italy, Rome to be specific. He also has been to Taiwan, and now in Australia. You've been here for, I guess,
15 years.
15 years.
Yes.
Ah, wow.
I studied
that.
in the U.S. in my theological journey. I think I gave you that one in Chicago. So I was there.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yes, that's part of the question later on. Yes. And also, guys, so he is our overseas, for the overseas or international student advocate, I would say, here in Australia. What do you call that, Father?
Oh well,
Ano man tawag doon?
normally the proper term is chaplain.
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 Okay.
Well, when I arrived here in this diocese of Canberra and Goulburn, I was not appointed as a chaplain. I was appointed as administrator of 2 churches.
Oh.
So administrator means you can be an administrator for 3 days, 3 months, 3 years, 30 years.
Oh.
It can be. When you are a parish priest, you have a term, which is 6 years.
Yep.
Then you can extend for another term. Then you go for the maximum of 12 years. But administrator is indefinite. You can be administrator today. Tomorrow you can be removed. And so I was administrator there of 2 churches. And
Yep.
then I was asked to amalgamate. In that being an administrator, the archbishop was very clear that he said, you are not a chaplain to the Filipino migrants. That is the right term, chaplaincy. That
chaplaincy.
includes Filipino migrants, families, students, any migrants, Filipino migrants. Because I had been a chaplain for so many years before
Okay.
coming here.
Yep.
And he said, we need a change. So, but then he said, if the Filipinos are, going after you, up to you. I leave it to your decision. So I could not say no to the Filipinos. So
Of
so happened
course.
that you guys in your group, we arrived together in the same time,
Exactly.
the same place. So it was
Did
just
we, Father?
automatic.
20
Yeah, 2015.
No, 2016 kami. But January, yeah, close.
Very close. I
Very
arrived
close,
in
Yep.
mid of 2015.
That's why, guys, we go way back.
Yeah, we're
I would
old.
say, like, and then again, in this introduction, I would say that Father Loy is our definite spiritual guide since we started, our best prayer warrior, because every time we have struggles, especially like every when we starting out,
Every
it's just-
immigrant story would have their own struggle, but then Father was always there too.
yeah. Like, because we always console to him, like, Father, we're having a hard time with this and that. Like, like a confession to a dear friend, if I would say so. But yeah, he was always there to pray for us, and also spiritually boost our faith in God. And we were actually active in church, isn't it? We joined the
You were
choir.
very active, yes.
Yeah, back then. Back then, Father. Just to correct.
I don't know what
anymore.
happens now,
I
but
know, right?
used to be. Praise the
I
Lord.
used to
Professional
be. Professional life.
Took its toll.
Yeah. And also, he is our dearest ninong in our wedding, of course. And now, I would also say that he is a family to both Roel and I. He's been a part of every milestone that we have. Even I would say the blessing of our 2 boys, which is making some noise in there. Yeah. You're part of the blessing of our first car, our
Yeah.
2 new cars, and then the house.
House.
So, and the wedding.
And the wedding.
Yes. And talaga, he was really he's amazing, guys. Like he's really close to us. So that's Father Lois for you guys and for us. So we couldn't have done this podcast. I think this is a not just a special. For me, it's very a milestone podcast as well. But we can do this a second time.
Of course.
Why
of
not?
course.
All right. Okay. You're right, Nako?
Yeah, go for it. Keep going, keep going.
All right. So we're going to go down to the questions, Father.
Oh dear.
Oh, dear. Are you
I
ready?
don't have all the answers, but let's do it.
Let's do it. So first question, Father. When did you know that priesthood was your calling?
I didn't until I was 18 years old.
Oh, okay.
I was in the
Was
second
there-
year college.
Was there a pivotal point?
Yeah, there was. Well, prior to the very epiphany moment, I was very active when I was young, at 12 years old. I was very active with the church.
Yeah.
And
You were singing
we
as
called
well.
it the Diocesan Youth Apostolate, and I was a leader of the youth. My mom was the leader with the elderly people in the community, in the basic ecclesial community. And so there was a bit of a seed there of vocation, but the epiphany was during 1992. Yes, 1992. It was Christmas, and we had a mass in the chapel in our basic ecclesial community, and I was playing the guitar. I was in the choir, and when you are in a choir, you don't really pay attention to the priest homily because I was very concerned of the next song and the next
Yeah.
hymn
Yeah.
and how to do the introduction, to make the right introduction, everything. But I was somehow, my attention was divided into two, preparing the song, but at the same time also I was listening. And this is what he said. And that Christmas Day, he said, every day, people ask the Lord for so many things. Every day. That means 365 days a year, he said. And so now it is his birthday. And so instead of we asking, why don't we give something as a gift to this little child in his birthday? And this is what he said. A gift that is something so precious to you, hard to give, you give it wholeheartedly and don't take it back.
Wow.
Precious, hard to give it freely, and no taking back.
My take on that, Father, being like just a normal human being, I don't know what I can give.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's hard, isn't it?
Is it
It's
too
like-
late for me to pursue priesthood?
You're already
Oh, you
married.
always have a chance. Yes, you always have a chance with her permission.
Oh yeah, we can get a divorce and then you can do that.
No, there's a process in that. It is possible
Oh my God!
if you
Now,
want
if you
it.
really want to, Father Lloyd can help you out with that. It's never
I
too late.
will help you with the process
Oh
if you
my
want to.
God.
But anyway,
But that's a big ask.
that was a
Father.
big ask, and I didn't really pay attention about it. So, but then after Christmas and all this, the busyness of Christmas and New Year and everything, after a few months, those words kept on coming back, and I used the word disturb. I was disturbed by those words, and I was so disturbed that before you go to bed, you wake up in the morning. Those are things, first thing in your mind. And so I started to pray about it. And so for the next 2 years, from 1992 to 1995, so I went to my parish priest and I said, I would like to enter the seminary. And he said, how old are you? And are you at school? I said, yeah, I'm second year college. And he said, why don't you finish first your degree and then you enter the seminary so that if ever you don't make it, at least you have a degree. It was very
What were
wise.
you doing? Like what course?
I was doing the Bachelor of Agriculture. I'm an
Ooh.
agriculturist by
Agriculture is by
trade,
profession.
by profession somehow. So that was my degree, first degree, and so I said, okay. So I started to continue I continued my studies, and while I was doing that one, I decided to be a lay minister. So a lay minister at the age of 19.
Wow.
And I was the youngest in the diocese to be a lay minister. And I was good with 2 years in that. And then after that, every Sunday, I would go to this chapel. It's a very beautiful chapel. There's only one mass in the morning at 7 o'clock. And then I would stay in that chapel until lunchtime, just to sit there. And I asked the question, no, what is it that you want from me? The prayer was not, Lord, this is what I want. No, the question was, Lord, what is it that you want from me?
So you're just asking God,
Yeah, I
like
just-
randomly asking God, what do you want?
It was
from
not a random, but I never thought that the right way to pray is that way. Or the right question to ask is that way. That is the right question, basically.
me? Yep.
So I just said, what is it that you want from me? So it took me 2 years to really find the answer. Every Sunday after Sunday, I would stay 3-4 hours there in the chapel. Just sit there. What do you want from me?
So you're really contemplating on.
Yeah, somehow. And then I realized that there was a prayer of St. Ignatius of Loyola, that song, Take and Receive. And that,
Take and receive. Oh my God, kumanta
Yes.
na ako. Sorry, Lord.
and that song, if you have time in the
Yeah.
future, listen
really
to that
nice
song. It's a song, it's a hymn of St. Ignatius of Loyola, where he did not ask the Lord of anything, but rather, whatever it is that you want, I surrender my mind, my strength, my soul. Take it and receive. And whatever you want, I follow you.
It's a really beautiful song.
That is a beautiful hymn that until now it keeps me. So every time I hear that or heard that, listening to that hymn, it brings me back to that 2 years of preparing myself to enter the seminary.
Is it too bad? I don't think our listeners would mind hearing a bit of that song, Father.
Ay,
If you don't mind singing.
oh dear. Take and receive, O Lord, my liberty. Take all my will, my mind, my everything, all things I own. I forgot the other list, but you see, oh,
I initially thought I could not recognize the song, but then when Father started singing,
yeah, it's a very common song that
Yeah.
or hymn that being sung in the.
always sung
Yes, I always say, do thou direct and govern all lands this way. Do art thy will commands, and I obey. You see? So beautiful. I
It
never
is.
knew that one existed, that music, that song.
Oh, really?
No.
Even though you're in the choir?
No,
Wow.
so I only realized that when I entered the seminary, there is a song, there's a hymn that really matched my prayers, like even before I entered. So it was really a work of something that is unexplainable. It was not by chance.
Yeah.
It happens by purpose or whatever it is. So it prepared
giving me
me.
goosebumps.
I know. It's the work of the Holy Spirit.
So it
I
prepared
really
me.
believe that.
Prepared me to enter the seminary. So after my graduation, a month after, I entered the seminary, and that was the beginning, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is so nice.
God works in mysterious ways and
Yep.
funny ways at the same time.
What I gather, Father, is that you being disturbed, but that means He's calling you into serving Him.
Yes, once God calls you and you get disturbed,
You answer.
don't fight with God. You will never win.
Exactly.
That's
Just like
how it
fighting
is.
your wife.
The ultimate.
It's like fighting your wife. Just say yes.
Yes. Happy wife, happy life.
All right.
All right. To continue, Father.
Yes.
So I know it was already a hard decision for you entering the seminary.
Yeah.
But throughout the 8 years that you were in the seminary, was there a time that your decision has been like shaken, like you wanting
Having
to
second
leave?
thoughts,
Yeah,
yeah.
having
all
second
the
thoughts.
time. Oh, it's
Well,
not-
that's so hard. 8 years of
it's-
that, hey?
It's not easy to be in the seminary. the discipline, the time of waking up, the time of studies. Everything is by the book. When the bell rings, you do this, and the bell rings, you do that, and it's. But I when I entered the seminary, I didn't think of as soon as I entered, it's like, okay, 10 years from now I'll become a priest. No, I took it
Day
year
day,
by year.
year by year.
I'll do this year. Let's say next year. And to be honest with you, I had my greatest confirmation that my life is priesthood a week before my ordination. This is a week before, because by canon law we are required to do a 7-day retreat by ourselves alone.
Okay.
And in that retreat, I came to realize that okay, this is my life.
Were you out? Were you out in the public? Were you
No,
Were you
we-
out of the seminary?
No,
within
I
that
was still.
1 week?
No, you go to a retreat house and you do a retreat alone for 7 days. And every night I would expose the Blessed Sacrament, and I sit there for 2 hours just by myself. And it was only then that I realized, okay, it's a beautiful story, because if you keep asking me questions, these things will come back. Because I had a prayer that in my first 4 years in the seminary, I had a very deep prayer, and at the same time a dream, that I saw myself in a small chapel, a chapel that is really like made of nipa hut and bamboo sticks, and the floor is a soil, yung lupa talaga. And in that chapel, it was me and Jesus.
Wow.
And I was kneeling, and Jesus said in the prayer, "Give me your heart. Give me your heart, and be contented and happy." So I gave my heart in that prayer, and I look at my heart. It's like a rotten, parang abukadong namamatay na yung makupa na talagang violet na siya, na talagang, and I gave it. And then in Bisaya, he was said, "Paglipay o pagmaya." When he received my heart, paglipay o pagmaya. Then my dreams and my prayer dream that time stopped. It came back a week before my ordination. This is 5 years after.
Wow.
So 5 years after, in that retreat by myself, that dream came back. It was a continuity of a dream 5 years ago. And so I was there. I saw myself in the chapel, and Jesus held my heart, my rotten heart.
Yep.
And he said, "Rejoice and be glad, paglipay o pagmaya." And then I saw myself with a vestment, with a priesthood vestment, kneeling. And that was to me the confirmation that, okay,
It's meant to be.
It's meant.
it's meant to be. This is where I am going.
He did remind you of your dream.
Yes, that was my first year in the seminary. I had the first dream. The continuity was 5 years after. I completed the 9 years.
Yeah.
So, again, if you look at the story again, I have goosebumps and everything. It's really interesting how God works in a way.
Very mysterious.
I'm just curious when you said like you have to follow a routine
In the seminary.
in the seminary. Like how what would a normal day pertain to?
Oh, waking up in the morning, the bell would ring around 4:30 or 5.
Early start.
Early start. And then by 6 o'clock, you should be in the chapel for a mass.
Just with a wake up time, I'm done.
Yes, that's every day.
That's not for
And that was my
everyone.
job, to ring the bell. So you have to wake up before
Earlier.
ringing the
Before
bell.
you ring the bell.
Oh my!
Is that your job for the 8 years?
My job was a security in the seminary to check all the lights and the doors and then in the morning to ring the bell. Then you'll be in the chapel at 6, mass, 6:30. Then you pray for 6:30 to 7. Then have breakfast 7 to 7:30. And then you wash the dishes by 8 o'clock. You go to the school. Yep.
What was the subjects about like at school? Mostly
Well, the
religion
first 2
stuff?
years, two years was more on philosophy. You have to have philosophy to get theology. Is a prerequisite. And then
So nothing regarding science.
no, it's all about science in general in terms of bodies of um, body of thought. That's science basically. So that was the first 2 years, and then the other 2 years, the third and the fourth, I was in the novitiate and apostolate. It's more on psychological things, human development,
Okay.
and then after another 4 years and a half, theology, which is a study of God, and that's where I was sent to the U.S. to do that one.
Yeah. In
Five.
Chicago.
4 years and almost 5 years. Yeah. Yep. I think this is your first time to have a podcast with a religious questions,
It's
isn't
also,
it?
but it's also an eye opener, Father.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
us who's actually like ordinary people who go.
I'm
to church.
ordinary as well.
Yeah, you are. You are. But then again, you are a messenger. You are actually a messenger of God. I would say so. Right? Oh, huh?
I will try my best.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's encouraging. But anyway, Father, so if you don't mind me asking,
You've been asking a lot, so no worries. Keep doing it.
I've been asking it anyway. I don't. It doesn't care anymore. All right. So, Father, again, the question now is: throughout those 8 years, was there any temptation that happened
Every day.
every day? Really,
Yes,
even
yes.
inside the seminary.
Oh yes, we are humans, and
What is like? Is it like a physical temptation, or is it like just
attractions.
Oh.
Temptations in general, in terms of opposite sex, the longing to have a relationship. I do have a very beautiful love story. Beautiful one. It's pang ano talaga siya,
Pang
movie.
MMK?
Oo.
Pang MMK.
Which is a real one.
But
Anyway,
this love story developed in your time in the seminary.
yes, in the seminary we met. I was in the seminary. She was in the convent.
Oh, so this is
she-
real, guys.
Yeah, she decided to be a nun. She entered in the convent, and we started with being in music. I love to play, and she loves to play. She sings well. So we kind of jived together. So and then we developed our feelings from there.
Oh wow.
Yes, and I was very open in terms of my my spiritual director about it. And I was deeply in love. If
In
I had
love with
decided,
her.
yeah, if I decided to marry, that would be the woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, in case you had a relationship with her, like, would that be grounds for like terminating the whole?
You have to make a decision. It's your decision. If you fall in love in the seminary and you are very open about it, you don't hide about it, and you talk to your spiritual directors and your rectors and your professors. I mean, your spiritual director. They will help you to come to a decision. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. And if what happened to us is that we both decided to continue, and she is still she is the professed sister, and I am, the last time we saw each other was, I think, I don't remember anymore, in the airport
In the airport.
in Manila. She was heading to Mexico, and I was coming back. I was coming back to Australia, and I look at it.
Was it
I know this
recently?
woman.
Recently, Father?
Maybe 6 years.
6
Wow.
years.
Yeah,
Wow.
6, 7 years. And I saw her. I said, "Huy." So we had a chat and had dinner, and then say
Kilig.
goodbye.
Kilig.
Kilig.
No, the reality is, I remember there's a song. I remember the girl, but I don't remember the feelings.
anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Wow.
Yes, but it was deep.
Father,
very
I
deep.
thought it was like pinagtagpo pero di pinagtaghan. Di
Yes.
tinadhana.
Yes.
Ganun talaga, pinagtagpo.
Dumaan lang, hindi huminto.
But then again,
Beautiful story.
yeah. I think yours is like really beautiful because it already started in loving God.
To any Hollywood director listening out there,
Yes.
yeah,
Please let us
contact
know.
us,
Uh-huh.
and then we'll direct you to Father Loy
Yeah.
in case you're interested to
We'll
make
be
that
the
movie.
managers, guys.
As long as the price is right.
The price is right. There you go. But also, I mean, like, really, it started with God, and you both love God, and then you met someone that you could actually confide,
Yeah.
like a really life partner. But then, you both chose to serve God in your own ways.
It was very interesting because it happened when I was already in Chicago and she was in the Philippines. So we had to write letters, and it takes fortnight,
Ages.
15 days to go.
Just to come back.
So I was waiting every 15 days.
Wow.
And then I would write and send it, and then
Can
and
you
then
imagine if that's still the method of communicating today? Like
Oh.
with how impatient people are today.
Oh my God,
They'll go
yeah.
crazy.
yes.
Yes.
They'll go crazy.
Yeah.
So what I did, she decided to get out for a year to have a break, and then I went home for holidays, and I went to her place. I went to her place and I stayed there. But before I went, we had an understanding that we will have a deep, serious conversation, and we will say to one another what is it our decision. But I didn't know what her decision. She didn't know my decision as well. So on that date, that 3 days, I stayed in their place to meet her parents and the family, and so we came up with the same decision. I asked her what is your decision, and she said I want to continue. And she said, how about you? I said, yeah, I want to continue as well. So we
She probably
cried.
meant continue the relationship.
No, continue the yeah,
Continue
good
to be-
question. Yeah, but she was to
Father,
continue.
asumero ka nun ha. Baka nag-assume ka lang.
And so when we made that decision, we cried, both of us.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's heartbreak.
It was really hard.
What
a difficult.
Stop scaring Father.
And then after that, when I went back to my home, and she said, can I go with you and meet your family? And so she did. And then she stayed for 3 days, and then that was it. We parted ways.
That
She
was
went
your
back.
goodbyes.
That was our goodbyes. So
Ah.
it was a good closing. So in terms of question, temptations every day, even now, I still have a lot of temptations, and in so many ways, temptations to give up, temptations to be lazy, temptations not to do. I don't care about the people.
To procrastinate.
Procrastinate or just to give the minimum. And there's so many. There's so many. Yeah. So to answer your questions, yes, every day
Until now.
until now.
Not just in the first 8 years. Oh my
We're
God.
all humans after all.
Yeah, I'll be 20 years this year as a priest.
Okay. Now, this, Father, I think I asked this to you earlier. How did your assignment to go overseas come about? Like,
Okay. When I was with the Scalabrinians, I used to be a religious. I entered as a religious, and in the religious congregation, the Scalabrinians, they have theological houses, theological studies houses in all over the world. So there were 6 places all over the world, including Philippines, that the student can have the opportunity to study. And so in our batch, we were 5 of us. 2 of us were selected, and they sent us to Chicago. And from the Latin America, they go to Manila. So the idea is to have an international community and live in community at the same time. So that's the reason why they sent me to Chicago in 1999. Yeah. And that was my first overseas trips, and it was scary and exciting at the same time. Yeah.
Like, did you get to pick, or was Chicago always?
No,
Didn't
you
know.
never get picked.
Oh, okay.
You'll be asked. I was presented 5 different places like Chicago, Rome, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Argentina, and Mexico. No, Colombia. And I said, I'm a missionary. Wherever it is, I'll go. And so I said, okay, you go to Chicago. I said, okay.
Did you have to pay for any?
No. That's the thing with the religious. You see, the religious is you don't have a personal thing, but you have everything in common. So when you go to a particular country where there is a presence of your congregation, you have a house, you have a car, you have everything's taken care of. Yeah.
You just basically turn up.
You just have to show up there and do your best as a student or as a priest.
Yep. Now, in touching base about your Chicago experience, Father, so you came to Chicago in 1999,
Yeah.
and that's called the Windy City.
Yep.
Yeah.
During your theological studies, how was that like? You said earlier it was interesting. Do you want to expound on
Yeah,
that?
it was very interesting in so many ways. Well, first of all, I arrived in Chicago in the late September, and that means the
It's getting
beginning
cold.
of
Yeah,
winter
Winter.
and the snow. So I
Oh,
was so happy
gosh.
to see the snow. I did a butterfly and all these things and
The angel
the
wings.
angel wings. And after 2 weeks, I was like, this is not good. And you have to shovel, you have to clean, and it's not good. Very cold and everything. That's one thing. The weather. The
Yep.
second was the school was open to any, not only for the Catholic students but for interreligious. So my first evening, where in that school where we have to introduce ourselves, there was a man behind me with a big cross. He said, "I am Father so and so, and I am happily married with 3 children."
Wow.
And I'm missionary from, I've been missionaries in Africa. I was like, priest, happily married? What is this? And I
I'm
realized
confused too.
he's not Catholic. So he was an Anglican, or I think he was a Lutheran.
Okay.
And then the other one, there was this woman with a big cross as well. And she said, "I am Bishop so and so." And she's a bishop.
Oh.
I was like, okay. So that one shocked me a lot, because coming from the Philippines, that when we speak of priests, you are not married and you're Catholic, and that's about it. But there are other denominations, Christian
Yeah.
denominations, and that's where it opened my eyes. And the schooling system also was like here, it's by quarter. So you only have 12 weeks.
Yep.
And being an international student, you have 12 weeks. You have to have 5 subjects
5 subjects.
in 12
and
weeks.
Wow. I
So-
can't even handle 2.
Yes, because if you go 3 and less, the immigration will chase you and send you home.
Okay.
And if you just keep on 3 or 4, you won't make it in 4 years.
Oh, okay. You have to study longer.
Yeah, you have studied longer. So I have to take 4 or 5 in 1 quarter. Now, in each book, in each subject, requires you 5 to 10 books reading. That is a requirement.
That's a lot.
A minimum of 5, a maximum of 10. That's the requirement. But then you have supplements in 1 subject. So let's say 5 books required in 5 subjects. There's only 15 books in 12 weeks.
That's a lot.
Yes.
I
And
didn't
then
realize you have to study that much.
you have to study them. So you have to find the ways how to read the book. So I've learned that reading the book, you don't have to read it page by page. You just have it in 1 chapter. You read the first 2 pages, the first 2 and the last 2 pages. Then you have the introduction and the summary.
There you go, guys. There's also some tips from Father Lloyd.
Yes.
How you can cheat your way into the
Yes.
chapters of the book.
Because if you have 25 books in 12 weeks, how would you do that?
Yeah, how would you manage that? I
There's
don't
no
think-
way.
Yeah,
No
no way.
Probably the only way I can do that nowadays is just listening to the audio version of the book.
Yeah. Well, lucky there's a lot of new things that's going on now. But
Yeah.
before, you really had to do everything
Yes.
manually.
Yeah.
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 And
Basically
so,
reading.
as soon as we start a school, the first thing at the back of your mind is, what kind of research paper are we gonna do and make in this subject? There are 5 subjects, and they're all research, and they're all research. And at the end, you do an oral exam,
Wow.
30 to 1 hour.
What's the Filipino term again for like sunog?
Sunog
Sunog
kilay.
kilay.
Sunog kilay.
Nagsusunog ka ng kilay
Oh,
because you've been
yes.
studying so hard. Like, I think it's in because you used to use a candle to
Yeah.
study.
Yeah.
So nagsusunog ka ng kilay. You're basically just studying so hard.
Probably
Oh
this
my
is the
gosh.
reason why I've never done well in school because I'm just too stubborn and too impatient.
To read.
to-
Me too.
Yeah. Like my attention span is so short.
Yeah.
Like if I'm reading something that doesn't interest me, it's like
Yeah.
close the book. That's
Oh
it,
yeah,
done.
tell you
And
that
sleep.
those books are boring.
Yeah.
Oh. Gee.
Very draggingly boring. There you go.
I think boring. The word boring is understatement.
Understatement.
It was just you have to do it.
It's
But
very
yeah.
painful.
But you developed a new.
You have to find your ways.
Yeah.
How to read 15 to 25 required books in 10 weeks,
Oh my God.
12 weeks.
I
No, it's
admire you,
not.
Father. I admire your dedication, but I can't.
So, but the thing is, it was a 4-year course.
Yep.
The first 2 years is it's like after your first 2 years, the third and the fourth, it has to be a masteral. The school will not allow you to graduate if you don't make a masteral. So you basically graduate in 4 years with 2 degrees.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes.
So what was your master's then?
More on liturgy. I did the
Okay.
liturgy. So the first 2 years is the basic one. Then the next 2 years is the masteral. And so you graduate with the master's degree.
So did you guys have to do like some thesis of some
Oh
sort?
yes.
Oh wow.
And they had to defend it. Nako.
Yes.
There's no
See,
escaping.
oral exam. Oh my
It
God.
was just so normal. The oral exam was just so normal for 4 years.
You've been doing
And
it.
then you write a thesis.
I'm just curious. What sort of research would you have to do? Like for your
Well,
case, what's your
In my
thesis?
case, I was about the liturgy. I mean the proper liturgy. But the thesis that I did also when I studied in Rome, it was more on a pastoral theology. It was about my experience of the pastoral care of intermarriages between Taiwanese men and Filipino women. That was my thesis.
Wow.
And I divided it into 3 chapters, around 300, around almost 200 pages.
Well, your thesis is very interesting, Father,
Yeah.
because when you say Taiwanese men, what's the majority of the religion in Taiwan? Is it
They're Buddhist,
Buddhist?
Taoist. Yeah, certainly not Christians.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
very different from
Yes.
like a Filipino woman who's also majority are Roman Catholic.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's really
Yeah, it
good.
was. I mean, you may ask me in this podcast, and I explain my thesis. It's
Oh my
very
God.
interesting.
It will
It's
take us 2 hours, I think. Oh my
300 pages
God.
long now.
But